true. I am a storyteller at heart, and I love to tell stories. I've told hundreds of stories through Rhino, and I've been blessed to do that. But one story I haven't shared is my own. Yes, this is me. I'm 4 years old. I think about 4 years old, and I'm rocking the 2020 COVID haircut before it was a thing, and I'm still rocking it now. This is a picture, or to my knowledge, one of the only photos I have of me and my biological mom, and that's my sister, Destiny. This photo was taken in California with my biological mom. And it was actually, I didn't know this at the time, but it was actually in Michigan. It was part of a bigger Amber Alert in a situation that I didn't know was happening. So the story goes, my mom, she married one of my uncles, my Uncle Faustino, which is this, and he's super cool, way cooler than me. He was actually murdered at a young age. In tradition, my dad took on the wife and the two kids that were left behind. So he took on my mom, who was widowed, and her two kids. And shortly after that, they had myself and my other sister, Dominique. So there they were, young, struggling, and that was the story of their life. They had four kids, and they didn't know what to do. So it was a young, broke, unmarried family. My mom, she decided to do something that would change the trajectory of my life for a long time. She took me and my four siblings from Michigan to California. She fled in the middle of the night in a van. I didn't know this, but it'd be years until I actually saw my dad. And knowing that my mom's situation in California was grim, she was full of partying and drugs. He had no other choice but to make plans to come get us and take us back to Michigan. I believe that my dad did all he could to make it a normal life for me and my sister, or so I thought. So my relationship with my mom was full of empty promises and false hopes. Like any parent, she just struggled to just tell us the things we needed to hear and tell us the things we wanted to hear, like she was doing okay and that she was no longer on drugs. And I remember being young, and I remember being so confused with these phone calls because she was just a stranger to me. And growing up, I grew up super poor. And when you're poor, you don't know you're poor. You're in it and you don't realize you're poor. We did normal things like we went on vacation, we spent days on the beach, but I knew there was something about my family that was just different. And from a young age, I started to believe that we were just poor, and that's the narrative that was put on us. So I have to give a shout out to my dad. Sorry, these are out of order a little bit. And I think my dad is one of my heroes. He had his struggles, he had his battles, he had his skeletons. And I think even through our differences and his struggles, he did everything he could to provide for our family. I remember he'd wake up super early in the morning to go work in the grape fields and trim grapes in the winter. And then after that, he'd get up and he would go for a 12-hour shift at a paper mill. And I believe coming from a migrant background, he showed him the value of hard work. And he worked his butt off so that I would never have to be in that position. I would never have to go into the migrant fields. You see, I'm a first generation non-migrant. That means I didn't have to work like that. So into my teenage years, I had someone speak in my life after I was hurt, after I felt like I was a have-not, and there was a bunch of people in the world that were haves. And he told me something that would change the trajectory of my life in a deep way. Knowing that I had had some damage in my life, he said this to me. He said, "You are at a pivotal time in your life right now, where you can change the course of history for generations to come after you. The generations that will talk about how you took a stand and turned from the things that plagued your family for generations. You have the opportunity." So as I wrestled with this opportunity, I realized that's true. For me, I don't have to go through those things. I don't have to deal with divorce. I don't have to deal with alcoholism. Yes, I was born to a crack addict, but that's not who I am. That doesn't define me. I am not who people say I am. I am who God's called me to be. This is my tribe right here. And I'm so proud of my tribe, and I love my tribe. This is a photo of us at Disneyland and last fall. It's always been a dream of mine to have my family of my own to work hard enough to take my girls to Disneyland, and we finally made it happen. And I know that Disneyland is not a symbol of success. It's not a "you've made it" mark, but for me, it meant I was changing generations to come after me. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention my better half. This is my wife, Karen. She's put up with me for 10 years now, and she's the reason I'm confidently able to say that I am changing in the ways of my narrative. I'm changing the things for my kids, for the kids that I love. I'm being the father that I want to be because she believed in me despite my flaws, despite my history, despite who I am. She believed in me since day one. She's my encourager, she's my cheerleader, and she's my best friend. So being a father now, having 2 kids, and then one that is, like I mentioned, Marshall, I can't picture here. I realize I'm leaving a legacy, a true legacy that my parents may not have been able to give me, and a narrative that my parents may not have been able to write for me, but I am changing in that. And I have the opportunity to do the things that she couldn't do. And this is the last photo I have of my mom. And way deep in the back of my mind, I knew this day was coming, but nothing can prepare you for when you get that call. So I took a red eye to meet her. She was on a ventilator for 12 hours and they couldn't bring her back. So I asked for the room and I made a promise to her. I promised her that I would just give my kids the things she couldn't, that she worked so hard to give us and she could never give us. So I'm changing generations behind me to go forward. Thank you.